So I have, again, about 8 physical servers, and the first thing I wanted to do is to take those servers and virtualize them, right? That's what people think. I'm going to take all these servers and I'm going to virtualize them and make them all available. But there was a big problem with that because I needed big hardware to make it available. So I got rid of all my physical servers. I virtualized everything. I brought in 2 big, massive servers. So these massive physical servers were big enough to handle everything that was running. I moved all my storage to them. I put all my management tools up there. I moved all my disks to remote access disks was inside my little on-premise environment there. And I very quickly realized that I've moved all my stuff into a virtualized environment, but because of that, my virtual machines started to grow. I was getting virtual machine sprawl of all things, because I could easily just click on a measurement tool and stand up a virtual machine and I'm good. So I grew very rapidly. At this point, after I virtualized everything, I had 24 virtual machines, 18 terabytes worth of disk storage space. So, first lessons learned. Virtualization is not cloud computing. Because when I moved all that stuff up to my, in a virtual machine environment, I still had all these problems that the definition of cloud computing that we saw in the beginning didn't solve. Things weren't end user provisioned. There was no elastic. I could create virtual machines, but they didn't grow and shrink based upon need. I paid a cost, and then I maintained that cost through the life cycle of everything. There was no cost savings from that perspective. And then management was a huge problem with this virtualized environment. And I'll talk about that a little later on. But perhaps one of the biggest problems is these machines were loud. They were really loud, and management told me to solve that problem, and she said do it right away, and I guess to ensure my long-term happiness, I got on that. But I took all these virtual machines and uploaded them to the cloud, literally an infrastructure as a service running in one of our partners' data centers, and it was good. It solved a lot of problems, but perhaps the biggest single most problem I had, as well as a lot of federal government and big agencies have, is that I still had to manage all those servers that was running in somebody else's data center, right? I still had to manage that infrastructure. I still had to, in some cases, install the operating system. I had to manage and configure the OS. I had to deal with network load balancing. I had to deal with patching all those servers on a routine basis. So this environment that I still had to manage caused me to ask a lot of questions and problems with inside my environment. So for instance, my end goal of my business that I started about didn't entail installing and managing an operating system. It didn't entail patching it. I was spending an exorbitant amount of time on the management of that box, or those boxes. And I'm sure you've all seen the studies that about 80% of all the IT budgets and resources and times, budgets and resources are spent on maintaining current systems. There's Gartner and ITC and Forrester researches. Microsoft has their own research that shows that we're spending all this time creating systems, and maintaining the systems, not creating new ones. And I was seeing that on a first-hand basis. And I really began to question, what I was doing, right? Because my passion wasn't in installing and patching and becoming an expert in doing rolling clusters and failovers and network load balancing and things like that. That's not what my passion was. So So I'm sure you can all relate to that. So I have a magnet on my fridge that says, "Find your passion." And it's cute. It's this big dog that's sitting over this little ball, and he's all happy, right? Because that's his passion. And I saw it one morning, and it was like the first time I'd ever seen it. Because in that moment, I realized that I didn't set out to become an expert in patching and managing and installing and configuring the OS. What I needed was a platform, right? I needed an environment where there's building blocks that I can use and pull together to create a solution and then spend all my other time running my business, spending time on what's core to what I wanted to accomplish, right? So that's exactly what Windows Azure is that it's a platform as a service. It's an operating system running in the cloud that's built for the internet, that spans a vast environment of data centers running around the world, providing instant failover, instant clustering, instant load balancing of those services that get deployed up into the cloud. So you don't worry about installing an OS. You don't worry about patching. You don't worry about clustering or failover. It maintains 3 copies of your data in multiple physical machines so that if one goes down, another one comes up. So those data centers are running at some of the best PUE ratings in the industry. Then on top of that, it's running some of the largest customer sets in the world. We currently have over 10,000 paying customers and partners on that platform as a service who can develop out applications using any general purpose programming languages, either Windows, .NET, or PHP and Python and other non-Microsoft languages. But you use these languages to develop applications that use these building blocks that make up the Azure platform. When should you really seriously look at cloud computing? I think, without a doubt, today, right? There's a lot of hurdles that we have. There's FSMA requirements, there's laws and regulations that don't apply to the cloud, but I would encourage you to look at what's core to your business, what's core to your mission inside your organization, and think about, is patching and managing this environment core to my business? And if it's not, then I would definitely encourage you to consider a platform as a service as opposed to an infrastructure as a service.